Hello everyone. In this video, let's discuss how to pass an array and return an array with static memory allocation. Okay. So as usual, I'll start with the header file stdio.h int main. So first let me declare the variable n and I'll get the input value from the user. This is nothing but size of an array. Fine. So let's assume the input value to be 5. Now let me declare an array int arr of n. So when I declare an array, what happens? Automatically memory will be allocated. So memory has been allocated. The array is name is arr. Fine. Let's assume the address to be 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000. Fine. Memory has been allocated. Okay, now I'll get the input value from the user for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Scanf %d, comma, ampersand arr of I. I'll get the array elements from the user. Let's assume the input value to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I'll give it as 10, 20. 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. So I've got 5 elements from the user. Done. So I'll store it in the memory. 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Fine, I have stored 5 elements. Now I'm going to pass an array. So whatever the array that has been returned from the function, that has to be stored. So I'll take int star result is equal to modified array. I'm going to pass 2 arguments, array and n. So here I have taken one pointer variable. So let's allocate a memory for the pointer variable. So I'll give the name as result. Fine, I'll give the address to be 1500. So here whatever the value which is written, that will be stored in result. Fine, I have called a method called modified array. Let me define that method. Int modified array. So it has to return me an array, right? So I'll give star single pointer. So modified array int a comma int n. So here arr whatever I am passing, that will be stored in one more array called a. So I'll keep here. So I'll give the name as a. So memory I'll change 1100, 2100, 3100, 4100, 5100. So this is array arr. I'm copying in a. Fine. So I am passing this array that has been stored here. I'm declaring an array called res of n. So n value is 5. So I am declaring an array of size 5. So I'll copy the value. So here okay. So the name is res. I'm declaring an array called res. I'll give the value. Address to be 1200, 2200, 3200, 4200 and 5200. Fine. So I have declared an array here. After this, I'm going to take a for loop and I'm going to iterate the elements from the array one by one. And I less than n, I plus plus. So here what I'm going to do is in res of I, I'm going to take the elements from a and I'm going to multiply it by 2. So what I'm going to do is a of I into 2. This is what I'm going to do. So here I value is 0. 0 less than 5, condition is true. If the condition is true, I'm going to take a of 0, that will be multiplied by 2, that I'm going to store it in res of 0. So a of 0 is 10, that is taken multiplied by 2, which becomes 20. That will be stored in res of 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all the index values. Fine. Now when I go to the next iteration, I value becomes 1. 1 less than 5, condition is true. A of I will be taken, that will be multiplied by 2. A of 1 is nothing but 20. 20 multiplied by 2, which becomes 40. That I am going to store in res of 1. Then I'll take the next element 30, multiplied by 2, I'll store it here. Then I'll take the next element 40, I'll multiply, I'll store it here. Then I'll take the next element 50, I'll multiply by 2, I'll store it here. Now the iteration got over. Once the iteration got over, I'm going to return res. So when I try to return res, what happened? The array, when I try to return res, the base address will be returned. What is the base address of res? 1200. 1200 will be returned. Where am I going to store the 1200? The 1200 will be stored in the pointer variable result. In result, I'll store 1200. 1200 I have returned. But once this function execution got over, the memory allocated for this will be deleted. The memory allocated for this will be deleted. So the memory allocated for res, this will be deleted. This will be deleted. So when it is deleted, when I try to iterate and print the array elements from result result, it will not print anything. It will not print anything. Let's check here. See, for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So printf %d space comma result of I. Because the base address I have copied in result. So 1200 I will go 1200 result of 0, result of 1, result of 2, result of 3, result of 4. But when I try to print, nothing will be printed. It's a return 0. Let me save this code. Let me run the code. I'll give array elements as 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I have given. See, nothing has been printed because I am returning res. So res value is 1200 that has been stored here. But once after the completion of this particular function, whatever the memory allocated for this particular function will be deleted. That is why nothing has been printed. Now I want to store the value in the array itself. So in that case, we can use static. In that case, we can use static. When I use static, so the value of this array will be still there. Static array, so the value will be still there. So it persists after the function ends. Even after this function ends, this array is static. So whatever the value I have stored in the array, that will be still there. Now let me run the code. Okay, there is an error. Okay, it's a constant, so I should not give n, I'll give it as 100. Or a short 10 I can give. Now I am taking the array result as 10. So for this, what happened? Here result res will take 10 blocks. Res will take 10 blocks, but only 5 blocks I have stored the value. Only in the 5 blocks I have stored the value. Okay. Now when I save this and when I run the code, the value will be printed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Maybe I have given 10, 20, right? So I'll give 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. See here, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So in res I have stored the value called 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So that has been printed. So in the earlier case, why it was not printing in the sense, once the execution of this function got over, the memory will be deleted. That is why when I try to print value from result, it was not printing anything because whatever I have stored in res, that has been deleted. Now I have made the array static. So even after the function ends, the value is still there. This is how I have to return an array and I have to pass an array by static memory allocation. Hope you are clear with this. So whenever you are writing programs with the function definition, this problem occurs for most of the students. So whenever you are declaring the array, make it as static so that when you return the array also, it is still there. Okay. Now let's discuss how to pass an array and return an array by dynamic memory allocation. Okay, when we go for this, you can understand the difference between these two. Pass an array and return an array using dynamic memory allocation. Okay, so I'll start with hash include stdio.h. I'll include one more header file, stdlib.h. Int main. The execution of the program always starts from the main function. Int n. I'm going to get n elements from the user. I'll give scanf %d comma ampersand n. I'm going to get n value from the user. So I'll assume the value of n is to be 5. Now I'm going to declare an array int arr of n. Fine. For int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So I'm going to get the array elements from the user. Scanf %d comma ampersand arr of I. So here what happens? I'm declaring an array. Fine. First I'll declare an array. So I've declared an array of size 5. So arr. I'll give the address to be 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000. 5 and I'm getting the input value from the user. I'll give it as 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Fine. I've got 5 elements from the user. Now I'm going to call a method. So whatever the function is returning, that will be printed. So I'll give result is equal to modified array. I'm going to pass 2 arguments, array and n. Fine. I've taken a pointer variable called result. So let me give result. I'll give the address to be 1500. Fine. So I'll have null initially. Fine. Now I have called the method called modified array. So I have to define the method. Int star, because it is going to return me an array. So it is modified array name. Int a comma int n. So what I have done, I have passed arr and I have copied in the array called a. So I'll take one more array. Okay, this name is a. I'll give the address to be 1100, 2100, 3100, 4100, 5100. So I'm passing this array arr and I'm storing in a. I'm storing in a the value of n to be 5. Fine. Now I'm going to create an array by using dynamic memory allocation. So int star res equal to typecast. So int star malloc n into size of int. So n value is 5, size of int is 4. 5 into 4, 20 bytes of memory has to be allocated. So allocate 20 bytes of memory. So I'll give the address to be 1200, 2200, 3200, 4200, 5200. So initially I'll have garbage value in all the places. GB, 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 GB. Why? Because I have used malloc function. Okay. By default I'll have only garbage value. Then the base address will be taken, that will be stored in res. So I'll take one more variable called res. I'll give the address to be 2500. Okay. Here the base address. What is the base address? 1200. 1200 will be stored. So I have created an array by using dynamic memory allocation. Done. After this, I'm going to iterate one element and I'm going to multiply array elements by 3 and I'm going to store it in res. So here for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So here what I'm going to do, res of I is equal to arr of, sorry, a of I into 3. So here what happened, I'll start from 0. Index value 0. 0 less than 3. So 0 less than 5. Condition is true. I'll go inside. I'll take a of 0 value. What is a of 0 value? A of 0 value is 10. 10 is multiplied by 3, which becomes 30. That 30, where am I going to store? RES of 0. Where am I going to store? RES of 0. So this is the index value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm going to store the value 30. So after storing the value, what happened? I'll go for the next iteration. I value becomes 1. I'll take a of 1, 20 multiplied by 3. That will be stored in RES of 1. So 20 into 3, 60 will be stored here. Then when I go for next iteration, 30 will be taken. That will be stored here. Then 40 is multiplied by 3, 120 will be stored here. 50 multiplied by 3, 150 will be stored here. Done. So once the iteration got over, now I'm going to return. RES. So when I return RES, what is the value stored in RES? 1200. 1200 will be returned by this function. So when it returns 1500, where am I going to store that? That will be stored in the variable result. Result is a pointer variable. I'm going to store only the address, that is 1200. Done. Now when I try to print the value, so this execution got over, but once after coming out of this function, this memory will not be deleted because I have dynamically allocated the memory here. The memory is allocated by the user. So user has to delete the memory. Once the user deletes the memory, it will get deleted. So here, now let me print the value. For int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So here what I'm going to do? Printf %d space comma result of I. Okay. Let me print and check once. So I'll give 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. See 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So I have printed the value. Once after printing the value, see result of 0, 30, result of 1, result of 2, result of 3, result of 4. The value will be printed. Once after printing the value, I'm going to give free result. So once after printing this value, I am saying delete this memory. Okay, what I am saying, delete cut. Once after printing the value, I am saying delete this memory. So this memory will be deleted. After that, I give return 0. So when I give return 0, what happened? It comes out of this function. So this memory will also be deleted. That's all. So this is how I have to pass an array and return an array using dynamic memory allocation. So here dynamically I have created an array. In the earlier case, statically I have created an array. That is why I have given the keyword called static, because once the function execution got over, still the value has to be there. That is why I have given static. If you are not giving static, once the execution of the function got over, the memory will also be deleted automatically. This is the difference between passing an array and returning an array using static and dynamic memory allocation for 1D array.